Hello my friends, today we have the update on the situation in the Bakhmut city. Unfortunately, it is not in favor of the Ukrainian side, and Russian forces moved closer to the city center from the south. So let's zoom in and let's go to the timeline. It was yesterday and it is today. They've took two of the lines of the residential buildings in that place. If we zoom out, you may see that there are just minor differences if we speak about the area of the Bakhmut, but not the city. So what about the captured territory by Russians for today? They were able to capture the eastern part fully and a small part of the factory on the north and also some of the residential areas on the south. Quite a lot, I would say. And Wagner claims that they've took around 70% of the city, but they're also taking the gray area in account, so they decided that they've took this territory and just this area is under control by Ukrainian forces. But it's not true, because gray area is not a neutral place or not the place where Russia took control. It shows the area of the fighting. And indeed, it's hard to say who is controlling this territory, because maybe Russians advanced over here, taking this part. Maybe Ukraine got some sort of the counterattack over here and took this part. And that is why it is marked with the gray color over here. So no one knows who definitely controls the places or the areas in the gray zone. By the way, about the Ukrainian counterattack, we got the information that Ukraine moved the military and the tanks towards the Bakhmut city. It was reported that the big Ukrainian convoy, mostly from the T-64 tanks, departed from the Chasiv Yar and on the way to the Bakhmut city. Well, it could be really tricky to use the tanks in the urban environment, but with the proper tactics it could be successful, and I think that it's better to attack from the flanks, from Ivanovska, from this position, and also on the northern part of the Russian controlled territory. Sending tanks in a city that is under the constant artillery fire is very risky. What can I say? That Russia is still unable to encircle the Bakhmut city after all of those weeks and months of the heavy fighting. And you know, Russian infantry, or it's better to say Wagner infantry, is really exhausted in this area. And today we got the information from the British intelligence service that many of the Wagner prisoners will retire in a few days, because their contract 6 months is going to be finished very soon. And just to remind you, if Wagner soldier survives during the 6 months, he is guaranteed with the freedom and he joins the Russian society with this interesting military experience and previous hard prison experience. And in that case, I don't think that they will influence the Russian society in a better way. Well, for Ukraine it could be better, because those Wagners who retire might destabilize the situation inside the Russian Federation itself. Alright, some of the good and bad news for Ukraine. First, let's speak about the bad one. Ukraine will obtain the older version of the Abrams tank. It's M1A1 instead of M1A2. The good news is that we're gonna receive those Abrams tanks much faster compared to the newer version. So why did it happen like that? First of all, United States thought to produce the M1A2 tanks for Ukraine, but later on decided to send the tanks that they have, the M1A1 version, and those tanks will be maintained, repaired, and sent to Ukraine very soon. However, still I don't think that they will be on time for the spring counterattack that could be done by Ukrainian army. About the yesterday's drone attack on Jankoy, it was confirmed, and I can see it from this picture, that it is the China-made drone. So no Ukrainian drones were used to attack the railway station or the airport, or as Ukrainian intelligence said, that caliber cruise missiles were destroyed by the drone attack, but it's really hard to say from those images, and obviously Russian side would not provide the evidence showing the destroyed rockets. It's just not good for the reputation. Also, we have some of the meme stickers on the drones. As you can see, those are trolling the Russian side. Maybe because at the same time the Chinese leader Xi Jinping visited Moscow and the Chinese drone attack the Russian Federation objects, let's say. Today there was the information from the UK officials that they will supply the depleted uranium rounds for the tanks, for the Challengers that will be used in Ukraine. And you know what happened? Putin and Russian officials start to say about the possible nuclear war, that the warheads of uranium could be used by Ukraine against the Russian Federation, and the imminent payback is waiting the NATO, I think, and Ukraine in that case. And also Russian bots as Anatoly Shary and many Z patriots start to say about the nuclear disaster that those shells may cause all over Ukrainian territory. And it seems like those bots hadn't studied the physics in the high school, because the depleted uranium is not that radioactive. Yes, the depleted uranium is still considered as the radioactive material, but it rays out with the alpha particles that are stopped simply by the skin. If we speak about true radiation contamination, there will be beta or gamma as usual for the high radioactive materials. The depleted uranium is just used to increase the temperature of the shell when it hits the tank or any kind of the other armored vehicle to penetrate the armor more easily. It doesn't mean that at the place of the shell explosion or something there will be new Chernobyl, but Russian bots say exactly like that. So even for the tank crew, it's okay to stay in a small room surrounded by those shells. And the high temperature doesn't change the characteristics of depleted uranium, it's still alpha rays. To make uranium more radioactive, you need special equipment that now Iran probably has, and they are searching for the uranium-235 to be used in their nuclear warheads in the future, but allies are doing everything they can to stop that process for Iran. And that is much more important compared to those shells that will be used by Ukrainians in the British tanks. And don't trust this guy that he wants to punish someone or speaking about the possible revenge. No, all of the red lines were already closed. Then we attacked Crimea many times, then we sank the Russian Moskva flagship, and then some of the drones targeted the Russian strategic bombers on the Russian territory, plus Kerch Bridge. And now you think that Putin will truly react on their uranium shells for the tanks? My friends, it's total nonsense. Yeah, terrible news. This guy, who is the volunteer soldier from the New Zealand, lost his life in Ukrainian war. His name was Kane Tai. He is the ex-New Zealand army soldier, and he got the daughter in New Zealand. She is 12 years old. So far we are in lack of the information about what happened with him particularly. But the fact that he really lost his life confirmed by the commander, and rest in peace, glory to hero. And again, my friends, I got the messages from my subscribers who are willing to go and fight in Ukraine. Think twice, alright, because it's your life, and if you especially don't have the military experience, it's better to support Ukraine in different way, because without it, you can just lose your life. As you can see, this war is really different from Iraq, Afghanistan. It is the full-scale war, as in Second World War, with lots of the casualties, and I think that Ukrainian army lost quite a lot of the soldiers. Thousands, tens of thousands, and it's really terrible what is happening in Ukraine. So anyways, think twice, alright? And Xi Jinping finished his visit to Moscow, and I'm gonna record a special podcast tomorrow for my sponsors of my channel and also my supporters on Patreon. Yes, I need to produce some sort of the unique content for those guys who support my job. So this day was more or less calm. My friends, now press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my channel, all the links are available in the video description just below. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.